Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Sunday. Wow, the weeks are going by super, super fast. Let me just open my. Whoa. Okay, so we are doing another financial and spiritual freedom call Sunday morning. Teachings of A Course in Miracles. We are on chapter 8. We're going to finish up chapter 8 today. Very, very. Actually, we may not. All right, let me put this on speaker. So that everybody can hear. All right. One more minute. Maybe we'll get started. Thank you guys for being here this morning. You know, throughout the week, like I'm always moving. I'm moving in such fast pace with real estate that on Wednesday and Sunday these calls really keep me grounded. So I'm really appreciative of the course and the teachings and the reminder and you guys joining me on this call. So let's just start by taking a couple deep breaths. Just bring yourself to a little bit of centeredness, I guess. Calm your mind. Just relax your body. As we join here together, even if you're on replay, watching the replay, you are here with us in spirit. We're here to serve one another, to hold a space for one another. And my intention and my goal here is to invoke something in ourselves. Invoke the light, invoke the love, invoke the peace within each one of us. And to invoke something, you got to believe in it first. So the course's practice is really to practice seeing the light in others. Practice that so you can believe that it is real. And then you can be a stand for it. You can evoke it from others. And so we sit here today and we practice remembering who it is that we are. We dedicate all the conversation today. We give it all over to the Holy Spirit, knowing that nothing happens by accident. May the conversations that we have today, may the topics that we talk about today be of the greatest service to the world and to each one of us. We need but to recognize that it already is. And so it is. We'll open today's call with, throughout the week, I read the course a decent amount by myself. And then I also listen to Marianne Williamson. I listen to this new guy, Aaron, on YouTube now, too. He's I like the things he says. I like his perspective. I like the way that he teaches the course, because he doesn't just teach from the course's space. He teaches from all the different philosophies as well. But he talks about Course of Miracles a lot. Um, let's see. I wrote some things down this week, so I'll start with just some of those highlights, and then we can open it up if anybody has any questions, conversations. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube or anything, you can feel free to comment, and I'll be able to read that. Let's see. Yeah, some of the great nuggets and the insights I got this week is, man, it's always about trust. Especially when you get to play, when you get to do things with others all the time, there are always things that comes up. The ego always brings shit up, and it comes in and says, "What's in it for me?" and "What do I get out of it?" All of our problems, every problem comes from that thought system that somehow we are separate. And the course says that every moment we're either leading our brothers and sisters to heaven or we are leading them to hell. And heaven is really just a remembrance and the mindset and the awareness that we are not separate, that we are one. So myself is included in that one. So to generate joy and happiness in myself with the heaven mentality would be that as I get it, all gets it. And as all get it, I get it. Right? So I would go and you would go and feed the homeless because you would feed yourself. You would give love because you would give love to yourself. You would be kind to yourself because you would be kind to others. And it's this oneness, thinking that there is nothing separate. And hell is somehow we are separate. That there is no that we are all separate bodies, and we've practiced that for a long time in our lives. Our whole life we've practiced being separate. All the joy, any excitement, any fun, any sadness, all the experience you've ever had was attached to something with this body. And so that is the separation, and that separation always leads us down the road to conflict. And so you're either leading your brothers to heaven or you're leading them to hell. And that's a reminder for me, especially I work with a lot of people, that it's nothing's ever separate that's happening. In any space. I'm not a teacher that's, standing on a rock or standing in front of the room preaching to everybody. There's just one. I'm speaking to myself. My awareness of the world that's in front of me, I'm experiencing it myself. And so heaven is that mindset, that awareness that there is only me. Everything's all connected. So if I see a homeless man, I would help him because I would help myself. If I'm in a relationship with a significant other, I would not withhold love because then I would withhold love from myself. You see, the recognition of that is a practice moment to moment every single day. And only in the present moment can something be created. What we tend to do all the time, because we have this separate self, separate experience, is that we bring a past story, a past belief about this moment into this moment. And again, this moment is the moment that anything is created. So as we bring the past into the present, the future is doomed, is imprisoned to be like the past. And we do that not only to ourselves, but to others. We do that to others and we do it to all the situations in our lives. We just keep throwing the past into the now where it's being created. Creation's happening right now. So we make the future just like the past and we reinforce that story. And that's what the Course says, forgiveness. Forgiveness is could be chosen in an instant. It is the instant that you are reborn. You could be reborn into this moment, into this holy instant. And that forgiveness and that being reborn is nothing more than your willingness to overlook the past, knowing that the past didn't exist the way that I thought it did. So we overlook it and we give this moment and we give the future a chance at something different. Um, so yeah, this week I've had some. I'll just share first and I'll open up for any shares. I've had some challenges with, people that I'm in business, real estate partnerships with. And when I say challenges, I just mean like I just lost my peace about little things, and the part of me is like, oh my God, like here you go again, you know, uh making it about you. and and I beat myself up a little bit for that. And then I go right back into no, no, no. Okay. New moment. New moment, new possibility. Like that was a great learning moment. And I think the antidote to judging ourselves is to change our relationship to when we lose our peace. That any pain, any conflict, anytime you lose your peace, we use it to serve the purposes of how do we love more unconditionally, right? How do we be more tolerant of ourselves and of others? How do we forgive? Um, how do we be less judgmental? Right? Yeah, everything that comes up when you realize that the purpose of it is to teach you, there's a moment, there's an opportunity here. Then every time that you lose your peace, every time you get upset at something, every time you judge when you said you're not going to judge anymore, or you lose it, or you don't, you become inconsistent with what you say or incongruent with the words that come out of your mouth. You don't have to judge yourself. To bring that back to, okay, I I did it again, and it's another opportunity to learn. So we change and we shift our relationship to those moments. Because as you go down the rabbit hole of bad and wrong and shame and judgment, it will only bring on more thoughts that's along the lines of that energy. And we can shift it. We can shift it anytime that we want. We can change it. So yeah, that's my I'm constantly having revelations like that in moments throughout the week where I come in and I feel like I created some conflict or I lost my peace, and then I have to change it again. I have to remember. I would just it's just about remembering, and we forget. We forget and it's okay, but we realize that our forgetting is the purpose of that is to make our remembering stronger. It's kind of like reading a book, sometimes sometimes I'm reading a book and I'm like, I gotta attain, I gotta absorb everything in the book. And so I'll read the same part over and over again until I understand it. But maybe I'm not supposed to be understanding this part in this moment. And so I got to practice moving on. Move on through it. I'll come back and read it again another time. But that's not supposed to stick right now. And you got to trust in that moment. The more you resist and fight the moment, the more you get stuck in it. And then motivation's gone. So one of the course says that the way that you know that if you are in service to God or if you are doing the work that you're supposed to do is if there is joy in what you're doing. So many of us are doing things, just doing without much joy at all. We brought this robotic way of doing things. Automatic is what I was looking for. We bring automatic ways of being in relationship. We're not aware of the joy that each moment can bring. We automize everything, including the way we do relationships. So yeah, open it up for any questions, any comments before we get into the course, we get into the book.
I had a thought the other day, and I just wanted to ask you about it. Because one thing that I realized that I don't hear a lot about, even though you just mentioned it a little bit earlier, is about like love, with a spouse or children or something in the course. But then on the other side, I do remember hearing like, you're not supposed to make things special in your life because that's what can help you lose your peace. So I think I'm a little conflicted right now about that whole idea of love versus not being special versus being unconditional love.
Yeah. This is what the course says. The conflict comes from us actually trying to listen to two different teachers. You cannot listen to the teachings of the Holy Spirit if you're trying to listen it from a place of the ego, which the ego's like, what do you mean it's not special? What do you mean my relationship with my kids or my family isn't special? What about that love? And the course is trying to teach you that all love should be unconditional. And the only way that we can do that is to recognize what these relationships actually are. So this is good. All right, so in the manual for teachers, this actually answers that question. It says, what are the levels of teaching? Okay. Wait. So the beginning of it is, who are God's teachers? Who are the pupils? What are the levels of teachings? We'll go to the level of teaching right now. No, actually, okay. This is a good question, so we'll go through this, and I think let's just read the first part about love itself. Okay, I think the course talks about it right here. About special relationships. Okay, so first, what do we do with love, right? So I read this a lot because this is a great reminder. But sin is defined as lack of love. Since love is all there is, sin in the sight of the Holy Spirit is a mistake to be corrected rather than an evil to be punished. Our sense of inadequacy, weakness, and incompletion comes from the strong investment in the scarcity principle that governs the world of illusions. It's the world that we live in. From that point of view, we seek in others what we feel is wanting in ourselves. We love another in order to get something ourselves. That, in fact, is what passes for love in this dream world. There can be no greater mistakes than that, for love is incapable of asking for anything. So, that last line, love is incapable of asking for anything. That is the love that we are striving to bring to our awareness. in all the relationships in our lives. Okay. Only minds can really join, and whom God has joined, no man can put asunder. It is, however, only at the level of Christ's mind that true union is possible, and has in fact never been lost. The little I seeks to enhance itself by external approval, external possession, and external love. The self, the capital self that God created, needs nothing. It is forever complete, safe, loved, and loving. It seeks to share rather than to get, to extend rather than to project. It has no needs and wants to join with others out of their mutual awareness of abundance. So I don't need the the teacher of God, okay, has no need to be in these relationships for themselves. It's only for the awareness of the whole sonship. That's why we join. Okay, but if we make something special, we are looking in this relationship for something that we want. Everything, so like even our goals for a relationship, our goals for what we want in another, it's like we want the perfect person. They need to be this, 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 this. See, the goal becomes very self-interested. Like it's an interest self. So um our goal isn't to find someone that we want or that fits our needs. Like peace comes from serving God, that this relationship comes together and we come together to serve God. As the moment that I'm looking to you to as salvation for me, this relationship becomes special and this relationship becomes harmful. So then to me and to the other person. So this is why we have conflicts with each other all the time. And it doesn't have to be your spouse, it could be even in real estate partnerships, right? So who are God's teachers? A teacher of God is anyone who chooses to be one. His qualification or her qualifications consist solely in this: somehow, somewhere, she has made a deliberate choice in which she did not see her interests apart from someone else's. So our interests are not apart. Just by choosing that, you are a teacher of God. You chose it. That we are in the mind of we are in heaven's mind. That I'm going to lead my brothers and sisters to heaven because our interests are not different. Okay, once that has been done, the road is established and the direction is sure. A light has entered the darkness. It may be a single light, but that is enough. I'll go back to using he because changing it actually messes me up a little while I'm reading. He has entered an agreement with God, even if he does not yet believe in him. He has become a bringer of salvation. He has become a teacher of God. So, who are their pupils? Okay, so the pupils. Certain pupils have been assigned to each of God's teachers, and they will begin to look for him as soon as he has answered the call. They were chosen for him because the form of the universal curriculum that he will teach is best for them in view of their level of understanding. His pupils have been waiting for him, for his coming is certain. Again, it is only a matter of time. Once he has chosen to fulfill his role, they are ready to fulfill theirs. Time waits only on his choice, or your choice, or her choice, but not on whom uh, he will serve. When he is ready to learn, the opportunity to teach will be provided for him. So when we are truly ready to learn, the teaching opportunity will come to us. In order to understand the teaching learning plan of salvation, it is necessary to grasp the concept of time that the course sets forth. Atonement corrects illusions, not truth. Therefore, it corrects what never was. Further, the plan for this correction was established and completed simultaneously for the will of God. For the will of God is entirely apart from time. So God in heaven is apart from time and space, and this is what we're really trying to heal. That we're stuck in this. So is all reality being of him. The instant the idea of separation enters the mind of son's God, in that same instant was God's answer given. In time, this happened very long ago. In reality, it never happened at all. So your pupils or anybody that has asked for you as a teacher. Okay. And you will be a teacher as soon as you say and declare that you are. When a pupil and teacher come together, a teaching learning situation begins. And so I've said this many times that there are people out there that they will choose you as the teacher. Even if Jesus walked into the room, they will not choose Jesus as the teacher. So when pupil and teacher come together, a teaching learning situation begins. For the teacher is not really the one who does the teaching. Ooh. God's teacher speaks to any two whom join together for learning purposes. The relationship is holy because of that purpose, and God has promised to send his spirit into any holy relationship. In the teaching learning situation, each one learns that giving and receiving are the same. The demarcation they have drawn between their roles, their minds, their bodies, their needs, their interests, and all the differences they thought separated them from one another fade and grow dim and disappear. So that is the teacher and the pupil. Now, what you are asking is about your family members and people that are your kids and things like that. So now we're talking about the levels of the teacher that they are. The teacher of God have no set teaching level. Each teaching learning situation involves a different relationship at the beginning, although the ultimate goal is always the same: to make the relationship a holy relationship in which both can look upon the Son of God as sinless. So even your kids, whoever you are going to be in relationship with, it's a practice of looking beyond any errors. And so your kids just happen to be around you a lot more. You might bring up the parts of them that they were unwilling to look at, and they might be willing, and they're going to do the same for you. There is no one from whom a teacher of God cannot learn. So there is no one whom he cannot teach. You see, you can learn from everybody. This is the humility that the course actually, this part I really love. And these 3 sections is the reason why I actually started reading the course. I was like, oh, okay. Because every part of our life, we have in our mind elevations. We have hierarchies. We have things that are more important and we have things that are less important. And we do it with people. And so these hierarchies and these elevations create different levels of expectations. So we can be very grateful for some stranger for doing the smallest things, but we don't have that for our partner. When our partner does it, it's expected. It's the different levels that it points to. There is no one from whom a teacher of God cannot learn. So there is no one from whom he cannot teach. However, from a practical point of view, he cannot meet everyone. So we're not going to meet everyone, nor can everyone find him. Therefore, the plan includes very specific contacts to be made for each teacher of God. There's no accidents in salvation. Those who are to meet will meet, because together they have the potential for a holy relationship. They are ready for each other. The simplest level of teaching appears to be quite superficial. It consists of what seems to be very casual encounters, a chance meeting of 2 apparent strangers in an elevator, a child who is not looking where he is going and runs into an adult by chance, 2 students happening to walk home together. They're not chance encounters. Each of them has the potential of becoming a teaching learning situation. Perhaps the seeming strangers in the elevator will smile at one another. Perhaps the adult will not scold the child for bumping into him. Perhaps the student will become friends. Even at the level of the most casual encounter, It is possible for two people to lose sight of the separate interests, if only for a moment. That moment will be enough. Salvation has come. You see, every one of our encounters should be dedicated to losing sight of separate interests. That's what the Course as a holy relationship does, is when we bump into each other and all of a sudden we're not looking at each other as separate. So that's on the most simplest level of relationship with somebody. We just bump into someone by accident. Maybe somebody cuts me off while I'm driving and I choose not to honk at them, and some sort of healing happens in that moment. It could be it's a holy instant because it's happening for me. I was able to choose not to react from anger and how I used to react, and I chose something different. In that moment, there is complete consciousness in play. It is difficult to understand that the universe course uh, levels of teaching the universe course is a concept as meaningless as reality and time. So these levels actually have no meaning. They have meaning in the world of dreams. They have meaning here, but they really have no meaning. Just like forgiveness, the Holy Spirit, the atonement, all of this actually means nothing in heaven. They just happen to be tools that we could use in the dream state. So we use it. So even this levels that the Course is teaching right now is only to help you understand and move your mind further along. But it also means nothing. All right. In time, the teacher of God seems to begin to change his mind about the world within a single decision. Then he learns more and more about the new direction as he teaches. We have covered the illusions of time already, but illusion of levels of teaching seems to be something different. Perhaps the best way to demonstrate that these levels cannot exist is simply to say that levels of teaching and situation is part of God's plan for atonement. And his plan has no levels, being a reflection of his will. Salvation is always ready and always there. It's already here. We're only trying to tap into the awareness of it. So we use these tools, which really means nothing, though, at the end of the day. So what happens is, we learn something new, the ego grasps onto it. The ego is always reading and learning with you and learning how to manipulate it. Okay, so each teaching and learning situation is maximal in the sense that each person involved will learn the most that he can from another at that time. So, in this sense, and in this sense only, we can speak of levels of teaching. You see, the Course doesn't want us to be stuck, and the ego is going to start thinking, oh, levels. And it starts to separate again. And we want to always be bringing things together, but this is only for the sake of us understanding what it means to be what the different levels of relationship are and how they serve us. Remember, everything is used as an opportunity to serve us, an opportunity for us to be more kind, more tolerant, more loving, more gentle, more compassionate. Everything is teaching us. Every time we lose our peace, every time somebody says something and we get upset, that is a practice. It's an opportunity for us to be more gentle with ourselves and in our thoughts about the other person. So then we can say, what level teacher are they? Based on, are they just a chance encounter, or are they level 2? So here's the Course saying what they are. In this sense, and only in this sense, we speak of levels of teaching. Using the term in this way, the second level of teaching is more sustained relationship, in which for a time, two people enter into a fairly intense teaching learning situation and then appear to be to separate. As with the first level, each meetings are not accidental, nor is what appears to be the end of a relationship really an end. Again, each has learned the most they can at that time, yet all who meet will someday meet again, for it is destiny of all relationships to become holy. God has not mistaken in his son. So this is this person or somebody coming into your life for a while. You guys have an intense teaching teacher student moment. There is no teacher and student, it's actually both are being teachers and students, right? Because we lose sight of the separation. There's a oneness that happens. So I mean, if I think back in my life, there are many people that were like that came into my life for a while. I was very good friends with someone, intense, great friends. We were like best friends. We hung out every single day, and then we just kind of parted ways. It seems like we're separate. We've separated ways, but we learned so much. If we were aware about the learning, we can become aware of it now, because time doesn't really actually exist. Past, present, future actually comes together into the right now. So even right now, I can decide to make that relationship holy. This is the becoming beyond time, is to recognize that any moment there is no, I shouldn't have any, oh man, I missed a chance back then, because in this moment my mind can still change from it. I can still be a student of it right now. So that's a level 2. If we think about in our lives, like, who are the level 2 teachers? Who are the people that come into our lives for a little bit or for a period of time and then they leave? All right, we have intense relationship for a while. I mean, I have past partners that were like that. I learned so much, and every moment that I remember them in my mind, I just send love and send gratitude to them, because I wouldn't be who I am today without any of them. Nothing happened by chance. Everything that I am today, everything that I've learned today, where I am, everybody that came in contact with me, even if it was just for a moment, I don't remember it at all. It's not in my consciousness. It happened for a reason. There was a purpose and a place for it. See, as we bring our minds to that, we're also bringing our mind to the fact that God played a role in everything, that there is a divine, cosmic, universal intelligence that operates and has us meet. It's not by chance. The thoughts that are in my mind did not come there. I did not create them. So nothing is happening by chance. The third level of teaching occurs in relationship, which once they are formed, they are lifelong. These are teaching learning situations in which one person is given a chosen learning partner who represents him with who presents him with unlimited opportunities for learning. These relationships are generally few, because their existence implies that those involved have reached a stage simultaneously in which the teaching and learning balance is actually perfect. This does not mean that they are necessarily going to recognize this. In fact, they generally do not recognize this. They may even be quite hostile to each other for some time, and perhaps for life. Yet should they decide to learn from it, the perfect lesson is before them and can be learned. And if they decide to learn that lesson, they become the saviors of the teachers who falter and may even seem to fail. No teacher of God can fail to help, uh, to find the help he needs. So, your level 3 teachers. Your level 3 teachers are those that are with you for life. They're your kids, they're your parents, they're the chosen partner that you have, that you get married to. They provide unlimited amount of lessons. So see, everything it's not about making a special relationship with them, and if I don't make it special, then I don't really love them. And in this world, it's like, oh my god, that's all bad and wrong, and you judge yourself and you get confused, like, no, I should have a special relationship with them, but you don't need to, because all you have to do is recognize the purpose of them. And all purpose is to bring our minds back to the state of heaven mind. Heavenly mind is the awareness that there is no difference in our interests. So level 1 teacher is somebody that I bump into by accident, and for a moment we can forget our own separate interests, and we recognize that this was a holy moment. And then the level 2 is the people that come into your life for a while, and you have an intense relationship with them, and they teach you a whole lot. And then the level 3, these are the people that are in your lives for life. Go ahead, Lenko.
Sorry, my thumb was really slow this morning to unmute. So this is like just always every single time I'm going through something, it just everything you always bring up something absolutely perfect. this whole teacher thing, it's just a fascinating concept. I absolutely love it. I'm just going to share what happened this morning. It was really like it really is disturbing me, and I'm really having a hard time accessing love or seeing them, these groups of people, as teachers for me. So there's just it was a video of a very large Christian rally that just happened, and the preacher, they had a few preachers on the stage, and they were spouting Bible verses I did not even know existed. They were very scary Bible verses, but it was basically the specific message was Democrats, people who are Democrats, are actually being led by Satan, and they need to go to war with Democrats and have the pits of hell open up and swallow them up, and like verse after verse after verse. And then it panned out at the audience, and they were just like really like filled with anger. And okay, so they're working all this up, right? And they're focusing on a certain group of people with a lot of hate and a lot of threats of physical violence in the name of God, because it's right there in the Bible. And I'm sitting there looking at this, and I'm like, okay, it's a fact that's very hard as a human to love everyone, to do this work, to see them as my brothers and sisters. And then you brought this up today, and now I'm shifting, and I'm like, okay, how can I see them as my teachers? And the first thing I went to is, if I notice it in them, it must be in me. But honestly, I never wish that kind of hate. I would never do that. So I don't know that I recognize wanting to cause harm or kill other people, because that's just not me. So what is the reaction in me? I'm trying to explore why fear. It's fear that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, I can feel my ego is beginning to once again see as other people who follow the Bible adherently to that kind of interpretation. Now, that part I do recognize. I'm othering them based on how they're using Bible passages. But the fear that's coming up when I saw their anger and what they were preaching about really took away my peace. And I'd love to figure out how to process this one, because this one's actually a bit more challenging, I think, than a lot of things that I've learned to work through.
Yeah. So, first of all, see, this is why the Course says the levels don't actually exist and really means nothing, because we're always making levels of things. Even in this conversation, oh, I don't have this much hatred towards others. I don't have this type of crucifixion thinking towards others. At least not that much, just a little bit. I'll just judge some things. And now I don't understand this. I'm judging myself for not understanding it. And so it's not all little tiny bits of losing your peace. They're equally disturbing to the mind. So just because you think war and you don't act on war does not make one different than the other. See, that's what the Course is saying. Now, the second thing is, we talk about everything being an opportunity for you to be a student in this moment. How are they your teachers, right? In what way can they teach you? If you were to look at this differently, in what way can it teach you to become more tolerant towards the people in your life? In what ways can they teach you how to love more, deeper, more unconditional in your life? If you were able to tolerate, or bring some, even send some love to these people that's acting completely outrageous according to you, that makes no sense. Like, how can somebody be this hostile? How can somebody misinterpret the Bible this much? Whatever it is that might come through in your mind. But if I was able to access compassion, gentleness, love, peace to these people, what can I do with my my children, right? How much more tolerant, like compared to that, if I can access tolerance there and access love there, then compared to that, my kids are not are like angels, right? I mean, you're learning to become more tolerant and loving and to bring love into spaces in your life because you might not be able to make a difference over there. You're not going to go and challenge them and create and try to create a scene and create a war over there with them. I disagree with what you're saying. And I mean, what does that do? That doesn't do anything. But if in your mind you can see this is an opportunity for me to, I don't understand them, but I know that our interests are really not different. See, on surface, in the dream level, it seems like, wow, me and them have nothing in common, right? Whatever they want, we have nothing in common. But the remembrance that, hey, we actually don't have any separate interests. What we really want is more love into our lives. They might not know how to do it. So that's why they're projecting their fears and their guilt onto it. And it's drawing it's drawing the fear. It's making the fear more real for you because you see it. So rather than becoming the fear, if we observe the fear within us, we can use it as a teaching moment. See, we got to remember, what is it all for? What is this moment for? What are they for? What is it? Why is it happening? What is it for? If it's all in the service of remembering God and to access more love, more forgiveness, then everything is just different forms serving that purpose. And we don't get confused. But when we become the problem, like when we become a part of this separate thinking, like them thinking, hey, Democrats or whoever can't, they should be burned or whatever. And you're thinking, no, I'm separate from them and they should be the ones that should be burned. See, there's no difference in what you guys are even thinking. It's just different forms. And according to the world, like this world, it could be justified that they're like insane. But if we look back onto ourselves, we are also insane for the thoughts we think.
It always goes back to the conversations that we repeatedly have about, for instance, when do we take action if it's really all just a dream, right? Like if you see a dog in the middle of a highway, right? Mm-hmm. Are you just going to leave it there? And, somebody suggested that we watch, it's only a 3-part series. Last night it was on Netflix. It's called Sins of the Mother. And it was about the husband and wife who were following an extremist religious Christian cult, and they killed, her teenage daughter and her 5-year-old autistic boy. You guys probably remember it because it made national news, but this documentary really went into their belief structure and systems. And, and that sort of extremism where they called on actually killing people, which was what I heard on this video at this big rally. It's almost like, it almost feels like a sort of denial, to just say, okay, I'm going to love them. I'm going to make this about me and what I can learn. I know what you're saying is 100% the truth. But the other side of it is, do you just walk around pretending that they're not capable of harming other humans while we're in this 3D, human meets experience? And it's very hard to practice love and recognizing it's all a dream, while at the same time, taking some kind of action.
Yeah.
Not that anybody right now has to take any kind of action. Just, I just keep having this question about this. Is it a form of denial to not acknowledge that there are humans that are calling to physically harm other humans? And it could be a group of people wanting to put a bunch of dogs in the middle of the highway, Mm-hmm. And how do you handle that from a place of love? And to me, I can't. Like, and if I'm truly reaching a place of love, I have to go into a place of denial. To me, mm-hmm. The Course calls it an illusion, a dream. Right now I'm still stuck on, I call it kind of denial. Like, what is our role in this 3D world?
Well,
to keep everything It can show love.
Yeah, well, first of all, denial itself, we have a negative association with the word denial. But the Course says there is a positive way to use denial. Denial could be used in a positive way. When you deny what is not true and what is not real and what is an illusion, you are in turn calling forth what is real. And so our life really is our experience of life is where we give attention to. So in this moment, I mean, all healing is I'm giving up the attachment to this experience that I had. I'm forgiving, I'm letting that go. I'm letting the past go. Okay, that is where healing happens. Now, it doesn't require a lot of time. It could happen right away. I can just choose not to pay attention to it anymore. I can deny what the ego wants to do. The ego is screaming loudly, wants to see the difference, wants to see the conflicts in the world. But again, when you see this situation happening on the news, when you see like people just in pain and projecting their pain, if you can become tolerant in your mind, not like, oh, it's okay to do that. I'm not condoning any of it, but I can send love to them. I can see beyond the actions, beyond the words that they're saying. They're just feeling this pain and guilt in the back, you know? And so if I can see beyond that, I now grow more tolerant to my dog shedding all over the place, right? I now become more tolerant to my kid, to my kids, to my husband, to my wife, whatever. You can become more tolerant just by learning from that situation because it's giving you an opportunity to learn more about love. So the attributes that you are learning are, so let's, maybe we won't even go into chapter 8. We'll go more continuing from this section because it seems to be exactly what needs to be told right now. So the characteristics you are learning as a result of that is trust. It's you're developing trust. See, in that moment when you think something is wrong, you're basically challenging God and not trusting that God made that person or those people do what they're doing. It's not loving, it's not godly. So you see, your judgment comes back into place. That, ooh, this is really wrong. This is I God, I don't know. I don't know if you're doing that. I don't know. I don't know if you have a part in this. I don't know if you even see what's going on here. I don't know what kind of God you are. You see, the trust starts to go out the window, the ego sneaking up. The denial of the ego is to not let those voices overtake you, to allow pain and suffering to cause you more pain and suffering, but rather I have to change my relationship to those things. So you'll also learn honesty, tolerance, gentleness. You can even be in a state of joy, even watching your brothers just, oh, wow, this is their learning path. This is the path that they've taken. It's going to be very painful. A bunch of stuff is going to happen for them. But man, I can't wait for that when they come out on the other side and recognize the salvation that's ahead of them. Recognize all the lessons. Defenselessness, generosity, patience, faithfulness, open-mindedness. Go ahead, Lenka.
I was just gonna say that. I was like, when you keep talking like this, I have to listen so carefully because it's like, oh my God, there's a nugget that just really was really good. And you know, the whole concept of denial, you made me recognize that it's a whole lot easier to deny what my ego is making up and perceiving.
Yeah.
And deny the event itself and the actions of others. And that feels like a much more natural way to access what you're talking about, is to deny the voices in my head that are interpreting and projecting what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And so that's why the practice for us is to look beyond our brothers and our, their actions. And let me just read what the comment is here. There will always be evil in the world. We cannot stop all of it. I believe in prayer and leaving the situation you cannot change to God. As sick as many situations are, it is not our place on earth to judge. I've had hard times in my life where I've questioned God in my own heart about situations and paths I was on, wondering if God really had me on the right path because I wasn't sure about it or I had doubt. Prayer, and I prayed, and when, oh, hold on. I prayed, and when with it, and it has always worked out so much better than I could ever imagine in my own head. Yeah. See, I mean, as our life, we can look back at our went. If we look back at our life and all the places that we lost our peace, everything is still fine right now. We're still here. Everything's okay. Everything's good. Right? We need to every opportunity, if we can practice seeing it as it's teaching us to be more loving, more unconditional in how we are in relationship to others, then what we're doing is we're reinstilling our faith and our trust in God. That even though they look so crazy, they could strap a bomb to their chest and blow something up, and I'm like, man, they really lost their way. But I can still send loving prayers to them and all those that are affected. See, it's not the world that needs to change. It's our perception of the world that needs to change. That's what the course is saying. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It's not outside. You can't. The ego wants to say, if we just change all these things around, if people only behave this way, then then we'll be in heaven. But see, that'll never happen because the warring thoughts within you is still there. And you will continue to project until you get evidence and see the rest of the world as warring. You'll see relationships. So what you do with it, okay, it seems like, man, how do I even think about this when there's people blowing themselves up or when there's people just promoting war like this? How can I tolerate this? Maybe I should do something. See, the only question is how do I become more loving in the spaces that I'm in? As a result of this, how do I become more tolerant and more loving and more compassionate and kinder to the people in my life? If I'm able to take from there teachings of love, then I know I'm at least moving in the right direction. I'm learning from it. I'm using the situation as how it's meant to be used. So there is a part, okay? So we're going through a process always. Now we don't know which part we are, so the course is telling us this is the development of trust. You're in a space that you're developing trust. Okay, whether it's with a level 1 teacher, level 2 or level 3 teacher, you're all developing trust. So what's happening is first, the course says it's just you want to develop trust. You want an experience of trust, not just the intellectual understanding of trust. See, there's a point in our lives where we need to experience things to to bring in the lessons that we've conceptually understood. So first we must go through a period of undoing. Okay? It does not need to be painful, but it usually is. It's usually experienced kind of painful. So you're going through this process. Every one of us is going through a period of undoing something in our mind, the warring thoughts in our mind. Okay, it seems as if things are being taken away, and it's rarely understood initially that the lack of value is merely being recognized. Their lack of value is merely so, like, even let's just say, okay, let's go through a journey of your significant other leaving you. Okay, I think we've all probably experienced a little bit of a heartbreak, whether it's to death or just to them leaving. But it seems like something is taken away from us, but all we're doing is recognizing the lack of value it actually had in my life. I'm recognizing that I'm whole without it. Okay, so there's a level of trust that's starting to come in. How can lack of value be perceived unless the perceiver is in a position where he must see things in a different light? He is not yet at this point, he's not yet at a point which he can make the shift entirely internally. So the plan will sometimes call for changes in what seems to be external circumstances. These changes are always helpful. When a teacher of God has learned that much, you move on to the second stage. That all of this is helpful. What you've watched on the news today, it is helpful to you. And when you finally accepted that it is helpful, that when this person left me, when I see these radicals out there, wanting to kill people and blow themselves up or whatever in the name of God, all of this is helpful to me. When I've recognized that all things are helpful, external circumstances are helpful to me. I may not know how or where, but it is helpful. I will move on to the second stage. So this is like the revelation of God and spirit in our space. Like, oh, maybe there is something that's divinely moving the world. I start to really believe. I have an experience around it. So next, the teacher goes through a period of sorting out. Okay, this is always somewhat difficult because having learned that the changes in life is always helpful, I must somehow decide all things on the basis whether they're increase helpful or they actually hurt my helpfulness. You see, now I got to sort out this new idea that everything is helpful to me. Everything is here to help me in the best way possible for me to become to help me return to heaven, really. Okay, so now, all right, all things are helping me, but somehow I got to sort things out in my life. Like, this is helping me. This is kind of, I don't understand this right now. It's actually pushing it away. So I got to sort things around. You will find that many, if not most of the things you value before will merely hinder this ability to transfer what you have learned to new situations as they arise. So what you're actually doing is you're seeing what are illusions in your life. What are the things that if you gave more power to, it's actually going to pull you away from the remembrance of this lesson? And then what are the things that are actually going to bring you closer to it? Right? So you kind of are sorting things out in your life. Okay, what is the truth and what is perception? What are illusions and what is real? What is real in a relationship here? It's the love, it's the joy. That's real. Now, what is not real is my attachment to it, that I need it, that it supports the growth or it supports me creating a new or adding on to the identity of this body, adding on to my investment into this dream world, that the world becomes more real. So actually what I guess in my mind, what I can think about is like if you're sleeping, okay, what are the things, what are the thoughts in your dream that is making you stick, it's keeping you asleep versus the one that is bringing you into this awakened state? You got to sort this out. That's what's happening. Okay. It takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. It is only to the extent which you are helpful to any degree of reality should be accorded them in this world of illusion. The word value can apply to nothing else. So you're really in this state looking to see what is valuable and what is not. Now, according to the world, money is valuable, right? Cars and status and my reputation, that's valuable. But in reality, in heaven, none of that shit even matters. See, only in the separated mind, all of that stuff matter. So right now we're in a state, the second level of the development of trust. I'm trying to figure out what's valuable and what's not for me. I'm sorting it out. In the third stage, through which the teacher must go, can be called a period of relinquishment. Now that we've sorted things out, this is a period of relinquishment. It is interpreted as giving up the desirable. It will engender enormous conflict in your life. Few teacher of God escape this distress entirely. There is, however, no point in sorting out the valuable from the valueless unless the next obvious step is taken. Therefore, the period of overlap is apt to be one in which a teacher of God feels called upon to sacrifice his own best interest on behalf of the truth. He has not realized as yet how wholly impossible such a demand would be. See, there's a part, a lot of us go through this. Well, now, maybe I don't know who's going through this, but we will go through this stage where we're like, okay, I need to just renounce everything in the world. And then none of that matters. We become so apathetic to relationships, to things, and we try to like deny it or something. because we're like, wait, but that has no value, but I actually really want it. And there's a conflict that happens, and we feel like we have to sacrifice. A good brother of mine in Peru, he's like, well, here's my dog. He's my dog. And when I go to India, someone else can take my dog. But I know he loves his dog, but he's practicing this renouncement of all the things that he's attached to. Same with his relationship. He's in a loving relationship. It's like, oh, if I go, I go. I got to go. I got to go do this. But there's just the conflict itself will keep you in a place that's just going to generate more conflict. So he's a very wise young Buddha, but lots of conflict still. He's understood the concepts of all this, but he hasn't put it together as a whole yet. So now we're on the third. Now we're continuing on the stages. Okay, so he can learn this only as he actually gives up what's valueless. Through this, he learns that where he anticipated grief, he finds happy lightheartedness instead. Where he thought something was asked of him, he finds a gift bestowed upon him. So this like trying to give all this stuff up. Nobody's asking you not to enjoy what's here, but we're giving it up as that is me. Like this identity that you've created, all the things exterior outside of you that you have added to yourself, including your level 3 teachers, your kids, your husband, your wife, all of that. They are not what you've created them to be in your mind. Okay, they're, maybe I will pull up the Prophet. Lil Gibran, the Prophet, kids, about children. So your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They came through you, but they're not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their children dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor carries with yesterday. Tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children are living. Arrows are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, and his arrows may go swift afar. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. So this is like your children are there. You've created them, but they didn't, like, you house their body, but they didn't come from you. Okay, they came through you. It's like all ideas too. Ideas come through you. They didn't come from you. As soon as you realize this, everything is a moving channel. Remember, I talk about our only obstacle and our only problem is that we have a disconnect, our communication problem with our source, with our Father, with God. So we think that things come from us. This is, I created it. Nothing you create. That's why all of it goes back to God, down through you, and you just become a clear channel. And this is how peace is brought into your life. Okay, so now after this, the period of relinquishment could be very, very, it could bring a lot of conflict. Okay, and this time is enormous conflict. I'm trying to give things up, and then I'm trying to hold on to it again. No, I want it. I don't want it. No, I want it. I don't want it. And you get, it's very challenging at this time. But at some point, you finally come to this state, which is a period of settling down. Okay, this is quite some time in which a teacher of God rests. You sit in this settling down place for a while. You consolidate all your learnings. Now you begin to see the transfer value of what you have learned. Its potential is literally staggering, and the teacher of God is now at a point in the progress at which he sees it is his whole way out. Giving up what you do not want and keep what you do. How simple is the obvious, and how easy to do. The teacher of God needs this period to respite. He has not yet come as far as he thinks. Yet when he's ready to go on, he goes with mighty companions besides him. Now he rests out and gathers them before going on. He will not go on from here alone. We have come after this, you have realized that there is angels, the Holy Spirit will go with you. Powerful companions, mighty companions will travel with you from this point on out. You get to decide. You get to trust. This is a place of trust. I'm no longer going on this journey alone anymore. Powerful companions. People will show up. It will come in the forms of all things. And they will remind me of the path that I'm on. They will remind me what was valuable and what is valueless for me. So this is the period of settling down when you're really in a state of peace and you're accepting of all things happening. That even somebody could be strapping a bomb to themselves, and I can still find peace in this moment. The next stage is indeed a period of unsettling. It's like, whoa, wait, so I just went through settling, and the next period is unsettling? I thought I'm all good. So a period of unsettling. Now must the teacher of God understand that he did not really know what was valuable and what was valueless. All that he really learned so far was that he did not want the valueless and that he did want the valuable. Yet his own sorting out was meaningless in the teaching him the difference. The idea of sacrifice so central to his own thought system, he made it impossible for him to judge. He thought he learned willingness, but now he sees that he does not know what willingness is for. And now he must attain a state that may remain impossible to reach for a long, long time. He must learn to lay all judgment aside and ask only what he really wants in every circumstance. Were not each step in this direction so heavily enforced, it would be hard indeed. So when you get to this state, it's actually not challenging anymore. When you're willing to lay aside your judgments. And so we can all say, all right, well, we're still judging and we're still stuck in it, but we can have a different relationship. When we start to have a different relationship, that my judgment's actually not valuable. It's not actually what I want in this moment. I can start to let that go. And you learn in this stage where you must learn, you can lay your judgments aside. So also okay, let me just go on to the next part. Actually, no, I'm going to say this. All of us are going through this process with different scenarios in our life already. There are things that we have great peace with that we once did not. But we have not yet learned that all the forms of things are the same as this. I've actually learned it. I've actually already gone through this development of trust, gone through this process. Every one of us has something in our life that we once was not okay with, and we've come to this complete peace with it. My judgment around this means nothing. I'm not even interested in judging this anymore. I'm not interested in giving this any more energy because all it did was bring me conflict. And finally, there is a period of achievement. It is here that learning is consolidated. Now what was seen as merely shadows before becomes solid gains, to be counted on in all emergencies as well as tranquil times. Indeed, the tranquility is their result. The outcome is honest learning, consistency of thought, and the full transfer. This is the stage of real peace, and here is heaven's state fully reflected. From here, the way to heaven is open and easy. In fact, it is already here. Who would go anywhere if peace of mind is already complete? And who would seek to change tranquility for something more desirable? What could be more desirable than this? So, Lenka, if you knew that the peace of God, the peace of mind is already here, like where else would you go? Well, what else would you need to judge? Why would you need to judge anything that's there? It must be because the ego is looking for confirmation of conflict and war. So I see it outside. And then let me bring it back. Okay, if I have peace here, why can't I just see peace everywhere? Right? And we can it's just different forms, and the ego separates these things. This is why we get super confused. And so moving on, what the teacher of God starts to learn is honesty. And not honesty, not in the terms of just speaking what's on my mind. Honesty as in I'm being consistent. See, the term actually means consistency. There is nothing that you say that contradicts what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thoughts. No act belies your word, and no word lacks agreement with another. That is honesty. Honesty is not just what I feel and think in this moment, because you actually have no idea what you this moment. If it comes, is it coming from the ego? If it comes from the ego, it is always going to change. One moment I can think this is great, then I change my mind, then I change my mind again, change my mind again. When you listen to the Holy Spirit, when you're in alignment with the thinking of heaven, the truth is always consistent, and it is never changing. It is eternal. You will never be able to change it. This is why I love the course so much, because it helps me stay everything that I do. It teaches me how to be in this moment. It reminds me. And then the second thing that you're going to learn is, as you start to go down this path of trust, you start to learn tolerance. God's teacher do not judge. Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. No teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. You see, all of the teachers of God is here to learn. You're here to learn, and you learn by teaching. That is what you're doing. See, even teaching and learning is upside down in heaven and in this world, in the heaven mind and in this worldly mind. This is why you cannot. The conflict that we all have is we try to learn from from both teachers. You cannot. There is nothing that they agree upon. The ego and the Holy Spirit agrees on nothing. Not one thing. So everything must go upside down on its head in order for you to recognize the teachings of the Holy Spirit, giving and receiving, judgments, tolerance. So then you also get gentleness. Harm is impossible for God's teachers. They can neither harm nor be harmed. You recognize that you are in such perfect abundance and in perfect creation that you cannot be harmed. All attack comes only on the body, and if you're not a body, then how can you even be attacked? Harm is the outcome of judgment. And then there's joy. Like we said, how do we know that we are doing things in the spirit, inspired? How are we doing things inspired? How are we doing things in accordance to what God wants us to be doing? How are we doing it in that alignment? How is our will aligned with God's will? And that comes from joy. If you're doing it with joy, the experience of joy is a reflection that you are answering God's call. Joy is the inevitable result of gentleness. Gentleness means that fear is now impossible, and what could come to interfere with joy? If there is no fear, what's going to interfere with joy? See, the reason why joy is the reflection, is an outcome, is a manifestation of your trust in God. It's because fear is not in the space. Fear is always what interrupts joy. And fear is of the ego. Fear is of the illusion. Fear is something we got to recognize that is valueless to us. But we value it. We actually value fear. Okay? All of us actually, on some level, value this scarcity and this fear. We hold on to it and we make it true and we make it real for ourselves. Now, the next trait that you get is defenselessness. Okay, this is big. What do you mean defenselessness? We're going all day. When we judge things and we attack others, we are automatically ready to defend. Okay, we may look so loving on the outside, but we got a whole army behind the wall ready to go to war. The defense. Something. Truth needs no defense. God's teachers have learned how to be simple They have no dreams and need defense against the truth. See, only illusions and dream needs defense. Truth needs no defense. So you could be in a state, I mean, so an example, okay, is I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, truth needs no defense. It requires no defense. So you can recognize, are you in a state of peace, by how ready you are to defend yourself. Defend the illusions. Okay, so when we attack and we judge others, we're ready to defend and justify ourselves for what we did. Guilt and fear needs defense. It's kind of like a little tent that we have. Truth is the light outside. Inside the tent is dark, right? But anytime there's any holes in the tent, we're gonna have to patch it up. We need to defend it. See, light itself needs no defense. It just is. But the darkness itself, the illusions that we hold to be real, we got to keep patching it and defending it. That's the defense. We said we need no defense. The next one is you're gonna be generous. Generosity. Generosity means giving away. Okay, when to the world, giving away is giving up. To the Holy Spirit, giving away is to keep. If I want more love, I got to give love. If I withhold love, I actually withhold love from myself. So then I'm giving away. I'm generous for selfish reasons, really, because I want to keep this love, so I give it away, because I realize that giving and receiving has not happened separately. It says the teacher of God is generous out of self-interest, not the little self, not the ego self-interest. The teacher of God is generous out of the big self-interest, the heavenly self-interest, that you and I are not separate. So of course, I'm giving because I want it. I want it because we all get it as I get it. I'm reading from Manual for Teachers in the back. So this is section 4 of the Manual for Teachers. So generosity comes. After that, what comes with generosity is patience. Those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait and can wait without anxiety. You know, this patience, when we say something to somebody or when we teach someone something, or we're like, okay, well, you should do this, you shouldn't do this. Don't we want people to just get it right now? Like, no, you need to understand it now. There's no patience. I don't let this thing play out. The Course says your gift, when you give, it is not up to you to decide when somebody receives it. You give because you know in this giving you have just received. But if you give and you're waiting for the response and for an acknowledgement or for something in return, then you are actually not giving a gift. You are giving a prison. Here, I'm giving you a prison. Put yourself in a prison and you do what I want you to do. You respond how I want you to respond. So when you truly give, when you give from this space, you are giving, here, take it. It's not up to me to decide when you're going to take it, when you're going to receive it, or what you're going to do with it. I just know I'm giving. Here you go. I give unconditionally. The last one, or the last two, and then we'll end it, is faithfulness. The extent of the teacher's God's faithfulness is the measure of his advancement in this curriculum. The further along down this curriculum you go, the more you're going to just have faith in God and be more faithful and trusting, because everything is pointing to you don't need to do anything. If you practice getting yourself out the way, what you're actually practicing is, here, I got faith in this, some universal intelligence, this cosmic intelligence is the God that has got it handled. God sets all things right. Not some, but all. We all believe that there is love, or we all believe in peace, and we all believe in gratitude and forgiveness, but we don't believe in it all the time, or that there is all that there is. We believe, yeah, there's love, but there's not love only. We can forgive, but we don't forgive all. We choose what we decide to forgive, right? So then again, that requires judgment. And now we're going back in the loop. I got to judge what I'm going to forgive. And then I'm in the attack again. And then I can't escape the attack myself. And then I go back into this cycle of just insaneness is what the Course is saying. You can get out of this by denying the ego. See? Denying in the positive form. Okay. And then the last one is when you have come through all of this, your mind is just going to be open. All things are possible. I'm open to the fact that this guy strapped a bomb to himself, blew himself up, and this is for the best of the world. This healing of everything involved. I'm open to it. I'm not condoning it. I don't understand it. Okay. I don't understand it. I wish I sent love and I sent prayer. I sent blessings. All that's involved, all that's hurt. May they come back and return with more love, more joy, more forgiveness, more compassion. Okay, that's it. I can't do nothing about it, right? If it's happening right in front of me, if a dog is getting kicked right in front of me, I'll stop this thing, but I'm going to come with it with love. If I stop it and then I go and beat this person up, then what did I even do? What did I even stop? I stopped nothing. I actually added to war itself and conflict. So this is our problem, is that we condemn people and then we want to punish them. It's not a mistake to be corrected. It's literally an evil to be punished. And we have to start to change our mind as much as we can with little situations in our life. That it's not punishment. It's just a mistake that gets to be corrected. There's an error in the thinking. Okay, so I don't know if we'll ever get there. All right, but I know that this is part of the dream. I'm just gonna have as much joy and fun as I can in part of this dream, because when I die, when the body gets laid down to rest, I don't know. I don't know what comes next, but I know that I can have fun while I'm here. I could live in joy while I'm here. What's the point of us dying and then while we're living, we're in conflict? Cool. So, yeah, thank you for evoking all this out of me today. Any thoughts, any questions? We'll take that for like a minute and then we will end it with a lesson.
Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much for everything you've added into my life, dude. Like, I don't speak often in these chats. Usually, I'm busy and doing work while listening to it, but I do feel like it's created a huge impact, and especially working with Dylan Hoffman, who highly regards you all the time. We talk back and forth about all these teachings. So, anyways, I just want to say, I was listening to a Ram Dass podcast that also perfectly sums up what you just said, is that we punish the action, not the person. So oftentimes when we're out of line with the Holy Spirit, we'll go immediately to punishing ourselves, talking to ourselves, saying we're impure or that person is impure, and then we put them in this box. And Ram Dass used the story of a pedophile who was writing to him from prison, and who he kept going back to prison because he could not resist molesting children, little boys to be specific. And he was saying that basically this man is going through like an advanced course in suffering, and that we need to see that person as a human being who, although is doing these horrible acts, the being itself is still God, going through the experience of having these compulsions. And those actions are not excusable by any means. And with Lanka, your question about like how do we forgive those evangelicals that are screaming a call for war, and how do we see those as human beings as well? It is a hard concept to grasp, to say like I'm even capable of that level of forgiveness, but you are, when you clear the space and you open yourself up, and like Alex was saying, just let go of those fears and that separation. You're completely capable of that level of forgiveness. And just a quick story I'd like to share about 2.5 years ago, when I first got out of the Marine Corps. I did not consider myself a benevolent, peaceful person at all. I mean, in fact, I was surrounded by male toxicity to the highest degree at getting out of the Marine Corps. And I had a dream to where and all of my dreams, I don't even realize that I'm dreaming. Same here, right? In this one. But I remember that I was my mother and my little sister, who happens to be 9 years old, were being captured, and they were brought to this like 36 level story building, and in each level there was somebody that tried to kill them, and in each level I saw that person trying to kill them as a separate entity, and I murdered them in horrific ways. And in each level, level 1, level 2, level 3, like a video game of some sort. So it was very strange. And I'm killing all of these people to try to save, and also living in my own righteousness of these are bad people, therefore they deserve to be punished. And then I get to the top floor, and this man comes up to me, and he's smiling, and he's saying, I already did it. I killed your mom. I killed your little sister. They're gone. And he's having this elation. And it would be so easy to see that person as pure evil. But in that moment, I don't know what happened, because I wasn't a benevolent person, and I wasn't a peaceful person when I had this dream. But Holy Spirit came through me, and I looked that being in the eyes, that person, that me, and I said, I can't understand. I can't possibly comprehend the level of pain you're going through. And I cried, and I hugged him, and I told him I loved him, after he had just admitted that he killed my mom and my little sister. And I don't think that was me doing that in that dream. I genuinely don't. I think that it was the message from Holy Spirit, from God, telling me that that level of forgiveness is possible, and that we should always strive to be at that level of awareness that that person is you. And anytime they're yelling a call for war to kill all Democrats, or anytime someone is molesting a child, or anytime someone is committing the act of murder, that person is you. And that person is unknowing to them worthy of forgiveness, and so are you. So that's my little spiel. That's my 2 cents. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that you shared today. It's good to hear from you. And there is no accidents, again, that anybody says anything in these calls, and anybody that is on these calls. Okay, we all need to hear exactly what's being said, and we'll close out with a lesson today. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Take a deep breath in. Lesson 243. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. I will be honest with myself today. I will not think that I already know what must remain beyond my present grasp. I will not think I understand the whole bits from my perception, which are all that I can see. Today I recognize that this is so, and so I am relieved of judgments that I cannot make. Thus do I free myself and what I look upon to be in peace as God created us. Father, today I leave creation free to be itself. I honor all its parts in which I am included. We are one because each part contains your memory, and truth must shine in all of us as one. And amen. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Lesson 243. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. All right, cool. Thank you, everybody. I hope everybody have a blessed day. Go out and bless people, and just be more loving. If we can remember one thing, let's just be more loving wherever we go, whoever we talk to today. Just keep in mind.